I think we're excited to play. I know I am. Your stomach starts to feel a little different, like right now, getting ready for a game. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, that means that competition with somebody else is here, and that's how I feel. I think where we're at right now is we're spending so much time trying to learn what it takes to play and how we want to play versus exactly what's going to be most efficient for us. So we're really trying to find what our identity is going to be. We know what we're working on. I know what we're behind on. I know how far we're behind in those different situations. They don't, because they're spending a lot of time trying to figure out, how to get through each practice, how to become more efficient, become more effective, how to play with one another. And the one thing that we're really, really behind on is how much we play, how much we scrimmage. And because we've really needed to get an understanding of spacing, we've really, really worked hard on our footwork. I hope it starts to show up. I think we've worked hard on our ball handling and driving, but I'm hugely afraid that tomorrow night with a team like this, with Valdosta State that was 5th in the country in Division II last year in points efficiency, that it could be a track meet. We just don't want it to be a turnover fest. And that's what we've got to work through that, because there's no way we can turn the ball over the way we did last year and have success. But we can't miss open shots like we did either. So those are the kind of things we've got to brace for down the road. But right now we've got to learn what it takes to play with one another, how to string possessions together, play through fatigue, try to eliminate as much trying to make something happen that's not there, and try to make the next pass, try to make the next play, try to make the right play, try to get that understanding, and knowing that we're behind in a lot of that situational basketball. But I'm glad we have a couple weeks before we start our regular season. But glad to have an opportunity to play. These guys are efficient. Like I said, they were phenomenal and point efficiency last year. Had a very, very good season. Play very fast on offense. I don't know all the things that they'll have in. They have a myriad of plays inside of their playbook. They lost some really good guards, but they've also added some good guards. And Clay is back, and I think he can really play. They're very good and very adept at drawing fouls, which is scary for such a young team like this, because we're trying to learn how to play hard. If there's one thing we haven't done either, we haven't brought the referees in as early, because we're trying to learn how to compete and play hard. We're not trying to learn how to foul, but we're trying to learn how to play through physicality, compete, and keep going. So we're going to be at the mercy of how good our coaches and GAs have been officiating practice. But I'll open it up to questions. Go ahead.
In exhibition games like this, how many different combinations do you typically like to see?
I'm not sure. I'm really not. I'm not sure, again, who's going to start. We have 15 guys. It could be hard to do that. I'm not sure. Some of that is going to go on feel inside of the game. I'll break up the groups. I've been doing a lot of 3-5-man groups, and the majority of the stuff that we've done, with the exception of when we scrimmage. Today I'll mix the teams up all together again. The one thing that we're trying to do, because I know if we don't start to do it, we're going to get real behind on it, and it's part of what we've recruited these guys for, is to really get a level of versatility with them. So we try to put them in different situations. We have what we call our leopard offense, and our leopard offense is basically, the leopard changes its spots, right? Like, we're a spot team. We're not you're the 5-man, you're the 2-man. You're in the 2 spot, you're in the 5 spot. The point guard is a little bit different, but other than that, it's very much spot oriented. So we're trying to teach guys in the concept of offense a lot of different places to be over the last week and a half. But for the majority of our time, we've been trying to learn how to play. How to play in spacing, how to cut, move without the ball, not let the ball stick in an area, and really, really get guys, because it doesn't matter how many new players you have. Moving without the ball, moving the ball in a timely fashion, on time and on target with your passing, being ready to shoot, those things take time. Now add the fact that we have 9 freshmen, and a newcomer in Donnell Gresham who's pretty adept at those things, but we have 9 freshmen that have to learn how to do that. And so combination-wise, I'm not sure. It's going to be a lot of, let's see how it's going.
Have you ever run this leopard offense before?
Well, it's not an offense. It's really more, I call it an offense, but it's really more, you're just in different spots, right? You can come down and say, okay, you're at the 3 spot. You're at the 4 spot. I want to start teaching that because I want them to get an idea. Okay, like, you got to be able to move around. It's not just, well, I'm a point guard or I'm a 2-man. We're not a position team. right? So for us, so much of it is, especially with young guys, is really, really getting that versatility down so that we can call it on the fly eventually, but come out even of a timeout, sometime over the next 2 weeks, if not tomorrow, hopefully by next week in Charlotte, and move those guys around and have them have a little bit of comfort. But the majority of our time has been playing a lot of positionless basketball so that they get comfortable on the floor. And we'll probably have less plays than that I would have hoped to.
I noticed you had the players just listed as B, or basketball players.
Exactly.
No position. Is that new to you? Or is that new? Is that kind of more changing with the times? Or
I don't know if others have done it. Yeah, I don't know. It's new to me, and I just think that's what they are, right? Because it's not valid to call them centers and power forwards and things like that as much with the way that we're trying to play. They're being trained as basketball players every day. I mean, if you came out there, Rodney Howard a lot of times doing the same things that Severe Wheeler's doing, and in the sense of how we train with the ball handling, the driving, the shooting, all those type of things. So that's big to me because that's what we're recruiting. I mean, we're recruiting basketball players, and again, with the Leopard, I shouldn't have called it an offense. It's not like it's a set play. It's just you're moving guys around. You're taking your set plays and moving guys into different spots and really trying to do it at the drop of a hat. You're trying to do it on the fly. And when my teams have gotten good at that, we've been really, really be able to steal baskets. And I'm hoping that we're able to do that because I'm not sure how well we're going to shoot early on. I'm just not. But training guys to play the game, training guys to be well-versed in all aspects of the game. And then really, the next part of that B means defense too, right? So we should put B and then two-way, right? Because you've got to play both ends. And so we're having guys that are having to learn how important the value of that end is of the floor too.
You mentioned all those newcomers. Kind of, what is it like?
I thought you graduated.
I did.
Okay.
You're not rid of me. What is it like on the one hand when you're trying to build a program and all these kind of things, but on the other hand, you've got 2/3 of your team is new to this program?
I don't understand. So what's
like when you're trying to build a program and all these kind of things
Yeah.
on the one hand, but you don't have a lot of guys.
Oh yeah, it just is what it is. I think it is what it is. I misunderstood. I'm sorry. I think guys like Tyree really stood out with really trying. I think we need some other guys that need to step up their leadership. But again, a lot of what we're doing is different for them. So it's not. I have not put in many things that we did a year ago. Some are similar, but they're not the same thing. But we're trying to make changes. We recruited a versatile team. We recruited a lot of young guys. We had to because the fact we're losing so many guys. And now we've just got to grow with them. But we need the leadership. The camaraderie has been good. But the leadership now has got to take off even more. But when you're not highly confident in your own game, and it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter what your age is, when you're not overly confident at what you're doing, and you don't have a lot to fall back on that says, okay, I've done this, and this. And it's hard. It's hard for leadership. So that's why it's got to be collective. That's why it's got to be by example. Our talk, and I'm not sure how the other coaches in the country feel, there can't be anybody that's mastered communication at this point. It's just hard, but we're not there yet. Those are the kind of things that we're trying to train. When I talk about, like, we're trying to figure out what it takes to play, right? Well, what it takes to play is how hard you have to play, for how long you have to play, and how right you have to play. It doesn't mean you have to play great. Doesn't mean it has to be perfect. But you have to play right, which means you have to talk. You have to call out things. You have to deliver the ball on offense. And it takes time for guys to do that. When they're so young and they have, we're a product right now, and I said this yesterday at Media Day, but we got a lot of guys, they play to play. Like when we scrimmage, they play to play. They don't really understand, like, we're trying to win that scrimmage. We don't have college basketball experience to fall back on. And so a lot of times we're still a product of, okay, I played at 10:30 this morning, game's over at noon, I got another game at 6:30 or 7. Okay, cool, let's get something to eat and take a nap, right? Like, that's not reality now. But they don't have any games to fall back on. So it becomes so much more of how we compete in practice. And we are behind because we've had to be. We are behind in that level of competition in practice because all we're going to be doing in that sense is correcting 8,000 errors. And we're trying to get a semblance of how we want to play. And over the last week or so, we tried to turn that back up.
It seems like there's been a lot of weight training and all of that going on this offseason. Just how have you liked the progress from the younger guys? Tremendous progress. Sean Hayes and his entire group down there deserve a lot of credit. Our whole theme when the spring came was, I'm not I like signs, I like sayings, but I'm not big on mantras and themes. But ours was really going to be this: commit to toughness. All right, and what does that mean? That means everything. It means
whatever it takes, in the sense of you're going through your workout, it's 45, it's 50 minutes, it's hard, and now you got to finish something off that's going to take another 10 minutes. We've done so many different things inside of that, whether it was our basketball workouts, whether it was our weight workouts. So they're gaining strength, but hopefully they're also gaining a mental toughness to go with an endurance. You know, whether it was using the indoor facility in football, or the outdoor turf in football, or the sand pit over there, you know, pushing the sleds, anything that was going to help bring a level of toughness, because we do need that. We need grit, we need to be tougher, we need a little bit of a nastier streak, we need to be able to work through fatigue, we need to be able to overcome things, and I knew we were going to have a very young team, but they have responded. They've definitely made the gains. You know, when you look at some of the things these guys have done across the board, they've made tremendous gains. But now we've got to be able to go out and apply it on the court, and that's going to take some time.
Tom, how would you describe managing 10 newcomers? Is it invigorating, you know, to walk into a room where, you know, they're all going through so much together for the first time? And when is enough enough? Like, did you say, do we really want to bring in peak in August? We already have so many new guys. Or?
I don't think we're any place where we could say, okay, our talent level is where it needs to be, right? And Mike Peak was one of those guys. By the Peach Jam, he had 20, 25 offers by the time that was over, and would have been a high-level recruit coming out in a year. And again, we were always going to hold that scholarship. You know, losing Nick, okay, we weren't going to. We didn't have any illusions that we were going to replace Nick. But the bottom line would be, okay, if we can get some more size, because that was a huge part of where we're at. We're still not big enough, and added him. You know, when you look around the league. But to me, is it invigorating? Yes. I probably, in all honesty, wake up earlier in the morning. No, I'm not kidding. By about an hour. I'm not kidding. Most days. By about an hour. I try to go back to sleep sometimes by an hour to an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, where it's just racing in your head. So like it's nerve-wracking, but I look at it like this. There's no question it's a huge challenge. You know, rebuilding a program, you know, refurbishing, however you want to look at it, that's a challenge. But we got to take it as an opportunity, and that's how I view it. So there's an opportunity to grow a lot of guys, you know, and I have to think of, okay, am I going too fast on this? Am I going too slow on that? So you sit there in the early morning and sometimes late at night, and you just, you know, second guessing yourself to death on like, okay, what do I got to get here? Because we don't have things to fall back on, right? We don't have that reservoir and that residual effect. We just don't have that. And so someday we will, but right now we don't have that. So we've got to work through that part of it, and I look at it as a great opportunity, and I'm enjoying it. I mean, and I think they are too. But every day is a great learning experience for them and for us, because the last time I had this young a team was that first year at Indiana, when we had maybe 9 scholarship guys, 8 walk-ons, whatever we had, and, you know, raiding the baseball team and the whole thing. I mean, it was hard. And so we have a little more experience back on this team than we did that team. But it's hard. It's very, very hard, because everybody loses guys in the league, but I can't imagine anybody's got 10 new guys. I haven't looked at it, but I can't imagine anybody does. Anybody else? All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later. Thanks.